It's going to be a lot of Dragon Warrior Randomizer action. I'm psyched. Oh, we're off and running. There we go. Let's see what's in the throne room. All right. And we do have Big Z on the right, so you see he has one less hit point to start than the Big L, and he will eventually gain more hit points on his side as the seed goes on, but he starts with a little bit of a deficit. We had the, I believe it's the Cursed Belt and the Torch starting off, and no gold and no return spell or anything of the sort, so they're going to have to look for some early game enemies. They both end up with a red slime. And they're doing about 1 damage. I didn't catch their strength score, but it must be pretty low to be doing 1 damage to a red slime. So it's good that they're in the opening zone, because monsters all the way up to the Scorpion could be appearing here. Ghost is probably going to be too strong. I'm sorry to cut you off. They have a strength score of 5. I believe this Ghost is not going to be doable, especially with that Dragon Lord breath. But go ahead, Dio. Sorry about that.
Just saying that Retro Omega X just looked at his stats and it showed 5 attack power, so definitely pretty weak. I will say one interesting thing about getting the Cursed Belt early is it's kind of a death-proof small pocket of gold. You can sell that for 180 gold at any place with an item shop, and so it's a nice. It is some sort of consolation.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. And then when you are at a strength score of 5, you may actually want to strike out and find a town. Although they did pick up 7 more power here on level 2, so they're going to be able to fight some enemies now. With a strength score of 5, you pretty much have to stick to slimes and red slimes. But now Retro doesn't know that the Ghost has Dragon Lord Breath. Let's see if it's a high or a low percentage. Oh, it was on the second turn, so now he gets the good news.
And the Drakies have baby breath.
But you're right, if they do a little bit of early exploration, they happen to find a town. It just so happens that the 180 gold that you can get for the Cursed Belt is the same price as the Copper Sword, which would give a nice boost to attack power in the first few levels. But if the town is not just really close by, and there's a lot of desert to walk through here, sometimes you're just better off staying in the initial zone and just getting the first couple of levels. They need to get to 17 experience in order to get to level 3, and they should be able to do that in short order, being able to fight blue slimes, red slimes, drakies, ghosts are all in here. And look at immediately to the west, we have Sharlock and a town, with a small little path leading in that direction. But you have to go through a secondary zone, which includes metal scorpions, in order to get there. So we'll see if AngryLarry goes back over there, or if he wants to stick around home. So one of the things that could be over there that would be helpful is the town of Cole, which has a search spot, which you could immediately, if you're lucky, be acquiring the armor. So it is worth checking an early town if you see it there. If it's reasonably accessible. Also, if they do happen to find Rimmildar quickly, they could have access to keys, but it happens to be the town of Cantlin, and with not really any gold available. And I think AngryLarry just remembered that he could sell that Cursed Belt, but no, he's exiting. There are 3 shops, 2 immediately available within the town of Cantlin, so potential upgrade to the Copper Sword, but instead, going back to Zone 0 to find some more red slimes.
When you're in this early grind phase, you're very grateful for the fact that Tantville is completely surrounded by desert, which has a higher encounter rate than any other tile.
Yeah, that's a good point. They should be able to get some encounters quite quickly, and Omega X up to level 3 now with that red slime kill, and we got 19 more power. So now you are starting to look towards going west and finding enemies like metal scorpions. Metal Scorpion might be slightly too tough with an attack power. I want to say by my fuzzy math they're up to about 31. But you could find some intermediate enemies like poltergeists and drolls and enemies of that nature that would be just in the sweet spot for 31 attack power. So See if he starts to venture out and try and find a zone to the north and south, or a separate zone to the east and west, both of which contain just the next tier of enemies. So far, it looks like he's staying close to home, perhaps for one more level. And neither player taking advantage yet of those shops in Cantlin. Continuing to grind. That was a great point about potentially selling the cursed belt, though, because even if you don't find the copper sword there, you could pick up some herbs. There's an herb shop there. You could, even grab a few torches if you find a nearby cave. There's plenty of things. If you just have a little bit of gold to work with, the town of Cantlin has all sorts of things that you can buy. So now Retro Omega has the right idea. He finds a druid now, which is potentially defeatable, and he does take it down. That's 14 experience and level 4. So not so much in the power department, but he does gain a pretty good amount of defense or agility. And both players going south and finding the Staff of Rain, or the Shrine Cave, the Rain Cave, lots of names for it, but you do have to talk to this old man after acquiring the Silver Harp in order to obtain the Staff of Rain, one of the 3 quest items needed to eventually have access to the Castle of Sharlock, where the Dragon Lord awaits. So it looks like AngryLarry just reset. I'm not sure what happened exactly. I guess he has a save, and he must have just died quickly, so you can sometimes reset quickly.
These Drakeys really seem to be getting to him, because I think he's died 3 or 4 times now to their baby breath.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. 7.5 minutes in, I know that he feels like he should be off of level 2 by now, having gained that I think it was 7 strength on level 2. So it's just unfortunate that some of these Zone 0 enemies do have the big abilities, and they can one-shot you, like this Drakey here just did. So, you just got to stick it out. The sooner he can just get 7 more experience points and get to level 3, the sooner he'll get that big power boost. I think that's the second time that Retro Omega got killed by the Dragon Lord Breath of the Ghost, and I feel like he probably thinks he can one-shot the Ghost always, and I don't know if it ambushed him there or if he was just short on, maybe it was a low attack roll, but now he's getting ambushed and sent back right after stepping out of the castle. Oh, these enemies have something to say about thwarting progress so far in the early going, getting up near the 10-minute mark, and neither player really able to venture out beyond the confines of the castle at this point.
Yeah, it's always hard to get much going on when a lot of the Zone 0 enemies can one-shot you like that.
Yeah, now we should be getting level 5 here if he can take down this Druid on Omega's side, and I think he's going to want some hit points soon. That is one of the things, or a heal spell of some sort, in order to allow him to venture forward. And he does pick up a spell, and it is the heal spell, and a lot of times that is the key to start exploring the map. You can now, take down some enemies where you otherwise couldn't, and you can heal up after battle and continue exploring. So far, he seems to just want one more level, maybe to level 6, but certainly he's got his eye now on the potential for starting to explore the map. And now AngryLarry
sold his cursed belt.
Yeah, very interesting. And the first thing he's doing is picking up a dragon scale. And now he's going to be below... Well, he can resell it if he wants, and still have the money, which he is. He's going to resell it after equipping it. And now he does have copper sword money. So let's see if he checks. There's 2 shops available, each that could contain a copper sword. That would be a pretty nice power boost. He's still looking for some power, as he has not yet obtained... Well, he did just get to level 3, so he does have some power now. There's a club available here. Magic armor and silver shield are of note for later. If there is a gold grind available, you'll want to remember that. But he's picking up a small shield and a club. So we can mark that off for AngryLarry, and that should give him the ability to fight some slightly stronger enemies. And he's going to go exploring.
Just in case anybody was wondering why he would buy the Dragon Scale and immediately sell it. After you equip the Dragon Scale, it stays equipped, even if you remove it from your inventory. So that +2 defense he got was permanent, so he had no reason to hold on to it anymore and was able to sell it back for half the cost he purchased it for.
Yeah, now we just got level 6 for Retro Omega, and he still has an abysmal HP maximum, and he is on a strength HP build. It is going to be difficult to make progress on the map with less than 30 hit points. If you run into any enemy that can cast Hurt more, you're getting one shot. Enemies that have any sort of attack power, right now he doesn't have much in the way of defensive equipment. So even though he has the heal spell and he is up to level 6, it might be slow going. It may be that he's going to just keep going for level 7.
Well, at this point, I think
We'll
AngryLarry just explored enough of the map that we have to go into the major swampy area to get any more exploration. So with that little HP, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, attempting to take on a Metal Scorpion. Now, Metal Scorpion happens to be the enemy within this second tier of enemies that has more defense or more agility than the rest of the enemies nearby. So if you're on a kind of a borderline power threshold, he may still be too strong to fight because you just can't really damage him. He's got kind of a hard shell, I guess, it's kind of compared to other, skeletons and even the wolf. I think you can generally do more damage to those enemies right now, but he took a shot at the Metal Scorpion, not successful. So now going in a different direction. Maybe he'll find the south zone soon where that Druin was hanging around. But Larry has started doing a little bit more early exploration than Retro Omega, who is kind of pausing here in the entrance to Cantlin. Not quite clear what's happening. I guess he's just deciding how he wants to approach this now. He's got a couple of shops to look at. And he has enough for the copper sword. It's right there. So he'll either buy that, or he's also making note the flame sword's available here too. And we saw the magic armor and the silver shield in the southern shop earlier. So all the good stuff is right nearby in the town of Cantlin if they could ever set up a gold grind. We'll find out later once they acquire keys.
And
Seems like Retro Omega might not quite remember the layout of some of the shops. He's just kind of, well, okay, now he is selling the cursed belt, so that's a good call. And so now he has more money he could buy wings here, which is sometimes a thing that you do in Cantlin if you think you're not going to learn the return spell for a long time. He can also maybe find some defensive equipment. Did he end up buying yeah, he bought the copper sword, correct?
He bought the copper sword and then he sold the cursed belt, so he got that 180 back.
Yeah, now let's see if he checks the other shop. I think there's a leather armor available there, or at least in one of the shops, and there's a small shield available as well. He may want to try to spend this gold, even if he buys 6 herbs right now. That would be helpful for exploration, but instead, exiting with gold in hand, he's going to check out the western region, taking a loop around Charlock, while AngryLarry is finding golems amidst the large swampy area that you referred to. So Larry is on level 5 now with that heal spell learned at level 5, so he has decided to start exploring, and he's found the town of Garanham, which has another group of shops to choose from here. So the large shield is something of note. If you can't get a gold grind going, you oftentimes do want to note where the large shield is, in case you need to get some gold the old-fashioned way by defeating enemies. And oftentimes the large shield is the best you're going to be able to do. So that's available here in the town of Garanham. Takes a quick in stop to refresh his meager 25 hit points, and he is continuing to explore. You can see Retro Omega is now on level 6, able to take on a Metal Scorpion. So that's a nice 31 experience each time. He's able to defeat one of those, and he seems to be exploring the map as well. So now we have the grave for AngryLarry, and quickly ambushed by the Rogue Scorpion, survives the first hit, but not the second. So that's too bad. There are a few quick chests in the grave, and if you get lucky and find a magic key in there, you could have yourself an early gold grind, but instead he's going to have to restart from the castle, and he thought about saving his progress, but now he's just going to continue on. And it's always a little bit tricky in this stage of the game to decide when and how much you should go venture out and explore the map, or if you should continue to maybe try for one more level. I'm sort of liking Retro Omega's decision. He has stuck fairly close to the castle. He's in these secondary zones, trying mostly to just get to level 7. I kind of like that here when they have such a low HP total. Just, if you just continue to get sent back by monsters, the exploration sometimes can be a little bit, and one step short for Larry. Unfortunately, he has the heal spell, but he miscounted, and he dies in the swamp, so he'll have to restart from there. But yeah, this point of the game is an interesting decision point, because eventually you do want to explore the map as quickly as you can, because you are on the hunt for the 3 quest items, so that you can have access to Charlotte Castle, and kind of simultaneously you want to be acquiring experience points so that you can actually defeat the Dragon Lord when you do get there. And so waiting too long to explore the map can be a detriment, but exploring too soon can also hinder your progress as well, because you won't be gaining the experience as quickly if you keep dying. So AngryLarry goes west to the town that he was previously at, and now takes a northward turn. There are stone men up in that desert, so quite a few endgame enemies. We've seen the golem up that way, we've seen the stone man now, and he is running into that issue that I mentioned. He has a very low HP total. It's just hard to make progress exploring the map at this point. And Omega now also has found the town of Garanham, and he has a little bit of gold still, I believe. He could buy a bunch of herbs if he so chooses. It's a little bit short for the chainmail right now, but make a note of the chainmail, maybe the large shield for later. I don't think he has any armor. He could get the leather armor right now. Oh, maybe he has that already, I'm sorry about that. But buying herbs at this shop here would also be a good decision when you're hurting for hit points, and it's not so much in the way of magic points just yet either. He is going to sell the dragon scale for 10 more gold, and choosing not to buy any more items at this point. Continuing the exploration. And now Larry has decided enough exploring. He is going to sit over here in this western zone, trying to find enemies such as the Druid, and this one should give him level 6. Omega seems to be doing some pausing when he finds these towns. I think he must be drawing a map. And there is a cave to the southeast of Garanham, but unfortunately runs into a knight. And again, that's the issue, is the knight is doing enough damage to one-shot you from maximum health right now. So they're going to be looking for some hit points pretty soon. Bring on the hit points. Where's level 7? Wolf Lord is right on the edge of maybe what AngryLarry could go after. It looks like he decided not to bother with it. He may be able to take it. The Wraith Knight certainly is not in range right now. Warlock is a nice enemy though, so that's 28 quick experience, and there's level 7 for Retro Omega X, and we have just 4 more power, 6 hit points, gets him over the 30 threshold. And we have the Repel spell, which they probably should not use anytime soon, especially if you have gained some defensive equipment. Sometimes using Repel a little too early, you'll repel the enemies that you're actually looking to fight. Unfortunately, you don't want the slime right now, but you do want things like the Druid and the Warlock. And he has returned to Cantlin with money in hand. Let's see what he decides to do with it this time.
I will note that the Warlock may be a little dangerous in this one to do because they do have hurt more. And while and we also just saw AngryLarry wipe to a Spectre with the Dragon Lord 2 breath. So
it's interesting because AngryLarry is going back and forth behind Sharlock, which is not actually part of a secondary zone. It happens to have Warlocks in it, which is maybe what he's hunting for. But it also has the Joel Magi and the Wolf Lord, which just are slightly beyond what he should be fighting right now. But he is continuing there. I guess the Magidrake is in range, so it's a zone that he is comfortable with. It's kind of unusual that you wouldn't just go to one of the zones adjacent to Tantegel, which are kind of guaranteed to be confined to between, the slime and up to the wolf. Metal Scorpion is here also, so I guess 3 out of the 5 monsters are okay, and the other 2 seem to be, at least you can run away from them. They're not completely deadly, so he's found a nice little grind zone here, working his way toward level 7, and Retro Omega is on level 7, and is going back towards this cave to the southeast of Garenham, which I believe must be the grave, right? This is where AngryLarry went into earlier and got wrecked by a rogue scorpion. He's going to use the 1 torch he has on hand. It's probably going to recognize that it's the grave. Now, the 3 chests are pretty close by. If you can make this walk, you could find something really good there, like Erdrick's Sword, for example, or a magic key. But you have to go through potentially very deadly enemies to get there. So I think as soon as he pulls up a map of the cave that he's in, he's going to make his way over there. And meanwhile, Larry is feasting on Warlocks and Magidrakes, and I believe the Druid is over here. Very close now to level 7 also, and he is closing that gap on the experience lead. He's made it. We have the Fighter's Ring, which gives +2 offense. And he has equipped the Fighter's Ring. And an herb. And an Armored Knight. So the Armored Knight is not really what you want to see in that treasure chest. Of course, he didn't have a chance to open the 3rd one, but instead, the Armored Knight sends him home. And there's 1 more chest there that we're not going to get to see for a little while. So now it's a decision on whether he wants to go straight back to the cave and find that 1 last chest in hopes of finding a magic key or an Erdrick's Sword, or does he want to set his sights in a different direction and explore more of the map to try and find more towns or caves, or even some friendlier enemy zones to grind on. So now at level 7, he is able to fight enemies that Larry is running from, such as the Joel Magi here. And even the Wolf Lord, I think, would be in range as well. So that was a nice 58 experience. So this, if he recognizes this, is actually a really good zone for him to grind in if he wants 1 more level. Spectre, also a really good enemy. AngryLarry chose to run from the Spectre there. I feel like he probably should have fought the Spectre, unless he knows from experience that it has a special ability?
Yeah, his last wipe, I believe, was to Spectre with the DL2 breath.
Okay, so that's part of the thing that the runners have to keep in mind. They're trying to remember what abilities all the enemies have in this seed, because that is what's randomized about the monsters in the standard flags. They have their typical stats that you would get from the original game, but they can have up to 2 of any of the special abilities, such as the Dragon Lord 2 Breath or the Hurt More spell and so on. Now, Sleep spell is also pretty devastating in many cases as well. So you have to try and remember which enemies are potentially more dangerous than normal and which ones are maybe less dangerous than normal. It is interesting that they have to continue to go through this large swamp with a low HP total and just a handful of heal spells at their disposal. It seems like once you get there, you kind of want to camp out somewhere like AngryLarry's doing. He's near an inn here, and he wants to find a way to fight some of these intermediate enemies. He wants to find a zone where he has access to the inn, as opposed to restarting from Tantegel and after walking through this swamp all over again. So Larry is staying at the inn here. He is just about 50 points behind Retro Omega X at this point. He has closed some of that experience gap. They've both explored just about the same areas of the map now. They've both taken a look into the grave. Retro Omega X was able to find 2 treasure chests there. They weren't of any particular consequence. So a little bit slow going. We're nearing the half-hour mark. Neither runner has keys. Neither runner has any substantial equipment. There's not any very easy way to acquire a lot of gold right now. And the statistics are decidedly below average. We're going to get a good look at the statistics now on our screens. And I would say that the strength score of 44 is okay for level 7. Unfortunately, they both have fairly inexpensive weapons. So they're hitting not so hard yet. The HP total is really pretty terrible, and the MP total is not that great either. So maybe the next level will get them off the ground. And any level up, by the way, could grant you the spell of Hurt More, which could really help when things are otherwise quite slow. So getting one more level here could be quite advantageous to both runners, and they both seem to be grinding actually now in a similar area, just looking for another level. So interesting strategies, kind of coming together for both players here. Now Larry has had enough of that, and he is venturing across the swamp again, trying to get through the golems and the wyverns that are in the swamp. Man, this is tough sledding trying to explore the map right now. It's kind of tricky. Just a slight experience lead still for Retro Omega X. Actually, they're about even now with experience. So who will be the first to 600 experience for level 8? Ooh, Retro Omega X manages to outlast the Wyvern for a really good chunk of experience with a pretty meager HP total. That was surprising that he was able to defeat a Wyvern there. Finds a more comfortable enemy here in the Warlock. Seems like their strike zone right now are these 30 experience monsters like the Metal Scorpion and the Warlock, maybe venturing over here to the west, such as the Droll Magi and the Warlord might be on the menu, but those are tough battles. Certainly the Wizard, not what you want to see right now. Fortunately, they do have the heal spell. Otherwise, this would be really slow. AngryLarry going to make another run for the chests. Maybe we'll see what that third chest is this time, if he can manage to avoid some of these more serious monsters. The Rogue Scorpion is not letting him go just yet. Oh, and he's breathing fire for 70 damage. That is more than enough to send Larry back to the castle. This king must be having just about enough of these players re-entering the throne room over and over. He has to resurrect them and send them on their way. We have quite the COD counter brewing in this seed.
Definitely have a lot of hard hitters going on with such low HP. It's slow going, definitely.
Yeah, I really feel like the HP is really the problem right now. So to me, just getting one more level is probably the best thing to do with your time at this point. Retro Omega X is just 10 points away. If you can just, find a Magidrakey and fight it. Right there. Man, that's like the third time I've called something about 3 seconds before it's happened. So that's always fun. And let's see what we get with level 8. Okay, so one more hit point. Puts him up to 33 potential hit points now. All right. So that's exciting.
Oh, AngryLarry found the Armored Knight in a box, but managed to get away.
That is a very rare runaway from an Armored Knight. And it was just gold in that third chest. But gold has been hard to come by. If he can manage to get out of here, could maybe get to where he could buy a large shield pretty soon or something reasonable, maybe the chainmail. There was a hand axe in one of the shops. Maybe a little weapon upgrade would help. He should be using his heal spell right now. He's running around on 11 hit points. Instead, he's just turbo running away from all these monsters. He does make it out. So let's see if he can carry this gold back to Garanham, perhaps. Alright, maybe he doesn't feel like there's anything worth buying in the town of Garanham. Seems to be taking a left turn here. And,
he may be grinding up to hit 800 gold so he can buy that large shield.
Yes, the Green Dragon is probably going to be a problem. Probably not going to be able to run, but you have to take a shot at running here. It's the best play. They don't really have any other spells. They don't even have the sleep spell. Even if you had a sleep spell here, you could try and put the Green Dragon to sleep before running away, potentially. But they don't have a lot to work with. Just really the heal spell is their only saving grace right now. And that has not helped a whole heck of a lot just yet. And it's what happens now is it starts to be quite a lot of experience points between levels. Now, Retro Omega X, if you wanted to grind up to level 9, let's say, that's almost 1,000 experience points total that you have to get. And if he's going to be doing that on Magidrakes and Warlocks, that could take a while. He is finding like these next tier enemies like the Joel Magi, and once in a while he's able to defeat those. This time not so lucky, but I'm not sure really what they should be doing at this point. It's almost like they should just grind another level. But when you're in a race, it's like you really want to start exploring the map because you haven't really found anything. Silver Harp, not found. Stones of Sunlight, not found. Erdrick's Token is out there somewhere. There are several towns that could lead you towards Erdrick's Armor. Yeah, so you want to explore that map, but 33 hit points. That is rough.
And you gotta be wondering how they think their opponent is doing at this point.
Yeah, especially AngryLarry, I think with the start he had, the first 6 or 7 minutes, he had just a lot of trouble getting off up until like level 3. He might feel like he's behind just because he had kind of an unlucky start. But there's not much you can do about that, though. It's like there's not much I don't know. There's not much of like a risk you can take right now that makes any sense. It's just like, do we really want to explore the map and just continue to run into guys that are going to send you home? And even if you were...
opened everything up.
Yeah, so here is Rimildar. He has one key that he can buy. And we did see that there is a gold chest in the grave if he wants to go back in there. Of course, he doesn't know it's there. But yeah, now you have to just find a way to get some more gold. Otherwise, one key is not really enough because you could use it somewhere and then you'd be out of keys again. So if you could get the gold together for like, one more key, he could go back to Tantegel perhaps and open that treasury and still have one in reserve, But he's trying to figure that out now. He's got one key. And AngryLarry has keys as well, and he bought several keys, and he's going to go in and check the and he got a magic key rebate, the 2-for-1 special there, opening 2 doors and getting 1 key. Now he's going to check the shop for good measure and see what he can buy with his 4 gold pieces. And just making a brief note of what's there. There seem to be plenty of options just right in the town of Cantlin as far as equipment goes, so there's not a lot that you really need to make note of anymore, but maybe some of the intermediate equipment, like the large shield, you're going to want to know just in case there's no gold grind available. The knight. I don't know if the knight is a good enemy right now. That seems a little strong. And thou art dead, sir. So AngryLarry is back, but he has some keys. Now, I didn't catch how many keys he bought, but he's going to probably check the treasury now in Tantegel, and that could open things up, especially if he happens to find Erdrick's sword. Here's hoping. Let's see what happens. Looks like he has 3 keys to work with. And if he finds gold in the treasury, he can go back over to the key shop and purchase more keys immediately. And we do have the Erdrick sword. Oh my goodness. Retro Omega X is going to need to get back there as soon as possible to grab that sword for himself. And there is the gold chest in the upper left. So the gold grind is available for the silver shield and the big armor. You can get some more keys over here. He can go immediately back over to the grave and unlock those 3 chests again to set up the gold grind. A lot of good things are happening for AngryLarry now. He might go ahead and check the basement here while he's at it as well.
Meanwhile, Retro Omega X finds the Stones of Sunlight cave, which has a cursed belt, which doesn't have a lot of relevance at this point, except it does mean that with 2 cursed belts found, all 3 search spots are going to have the items. The Erdrick's token, Erdrick's armor, and the fairy flute are all going to be in search spots, because if they're in treasure chests, they replace the cursed belts.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's kind of like an advanced thing to know about the game. And if you do happen to see the 2 cursed belts, you know that the token is in one of the search spots, for example. And once in a while, that can actually save you a trip. Like if they get to the point where the token is the only thing they have left, and you happen to find the mountain cave, for example, well, there may not be any need for you to even go into the mountain cave, especially since on AngryLarry's side, at least, he already has Erdrick's sword. So it can sometimes, that knowledge of how the game works to that detail can actually save you a trip in some cases. So we do know now that the flute and the token are on the search spots in this seed. So we'll see if they can start finding any of those search spots. One is in the town of Cole for free. One is on the overworld, and you would have to use a key to talk to the man in Cantlin in order to get the overworld coordinates for searching that item out. And the other is going to be in the town of Hawksness, guarded by an endgame enemy. So you need to find those 3 towns in order to see what exactly is on each of the search spots. But we have a new level up now to level 8. Stop spell and return on the menu for AngryLarry. And it's nice to see the statistics on our screen here. You can start to see, well, eventually you will start to see that Retro Omega X will eventually start gaining more hit points than AngryLarry will. And AngryLarry, you can already see on the same level, has slightly more agility than Retro Omega X. That's because AngryLarry chose to use a name that emphasizes agility growth, and Retro Omega X used a name that emphasizes HP growth. So those statistics will diverge more and more as we get towards the end of the game. Sometimes plays a minor role in the end game, so we'll keep an eye on that. So far, we are still not able to survive a single hit from a blue dragon. So eventually, we would love to see some more hit points.
With the hit points where they are, that really could, the stat builds, as you were just talking about, can really come into play, as it could be another level before the strength agility could take on the Dragon Lord versus strength HP.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Retro Omega X, I think, doesn't quite have enough gold to buy another key here. I think he only has one key. Unless he picked up another key somewhere, but that is... Alright, well, let's see what happens here. He's going to check the basement. Did he go in to the treasury? Or did I miss that?
I don't recall seeing him go to the treasury.
If he really just only had that one key, this is a pretty big mistake now, because he has no way of buying a key right now, and now when he exits the town, it's lost. That door now becomes relocked, and you cannot get into the treasury if you don't have more keys now. Let's see if he actually has... Oh, at some point along the way, he acquired more keys. Okay, so never mind. So now he's got the gold, and now he can go back and buy more keys from that shop. So he did it kind of in the reverse order, and now he'll have to spend a key and potentially some money. And there was a silver harp as well in the treasury. I missed that earlier. Sorry about that. But yeah, this really does open the seed strategically, because now with the Erdrick sword and with all these keys and with the silver shield and the armor nearby, they really could actually go straight over to the grave and reset up that gold grind. Now, AngryLarry has decided not to do that just yet, but and he's deciding whether with the Erdrick sword he could take on a knight, and deciding that just with its HP total, it just makes it hard to fight anything. Certainly the armored knight is not the idea, but and just as I say that, it looks like AngryLarry is going to attempt to set up the gold grind. So here we go. Or he might decide to go into the lower levels of the grave. Now that he has keys to work with, it requires a key to get down into the lower levels. So he is going that way. And there are 2 treasure chests down in these lower levels of the grave. They still do need to find the Stones of Sunlight, which is guaranteed to be in a treasure chest. So if you're looking for treasure chests, the grave's right here. He's decided to get these ones out of the way. See if the stones happen to be down here. I may have gone ahead and grabbed the 3 chests up top anyways, even if you've already done it. Just in case you die on the way down here, you would have the gold grind to fall back on. Now, if he does get both of these chests in the bottom, that is enough to set up the gold grind, since he does know exactly which chest in the Tantico Treasury has the gold. You just need to open 2 chests in a dungeon, and that's enough to initiate a gold grind. So if he can get to both chests, and if he remembers to do so, he can go ahead and grind for the silver shield and the big armor. The magic armor, I suppose it's called in this game. So, yeah. Well, we're going to see 1 chest here.
Do we know if he still has a key?
I believe AngryLarry actually went and bought more keys after going into the treasury. I think he did that. So he should have a few keys. Well, anyways, the Death Necklace was in that first chest, and they are about 100 hit points away from wanting to use the Death Necklace. So that's an interesting find, and let's see if we can get to this last chest. And chat noting the agility gain on level 9, and unfortunately, very low HP on level 9. This is becoming a very weird seed.
Yeah, if they can find Erdrick's armor with that and grind the gold for a silver shield, they could be defense breaking most of the monsters fairly soon, which would make that HP total not quite as painful.
So yeah, AngryLarry does make it to that last chest, which contains gold, and he is walking back and forth in an attempt to die now. And if you die intentionally here, and you don't leave the castle out onto the overworld, you the game doesn't remember that those chests have been opened, basically. So you can overflow the chest counter. He's going to open all the chests in a certain order here and grab the gold chest last, which will allow him to grab that gold chest over and over again, because the counter will be overflowed at that point, and we'll see sometimes some funny things can happen, but you'll see the chest will remain in place, and he now can grind as much gold as he wants, and it takes about 22,000 and change to save up for the magic armor and the silver shield, which are very close by, right over in the town of Cantlin. He saw them both on his first trip there in the lower shop, I believe, of the two shops that were in Cantlin. He could even grab a little bit of extra gold if he wants to refresh on his keys and, buy a few herbs and things of that nature, but he will pretty much have all the gold he wants for the rest of the game. Once he gets the silver shield and the magic armor, he's basically done buying things for the rest of the game, and he can concentrate on killing enemies with superior equipment.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe either player has, now that they have keys, has gone into the back of Garenham. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've not noticed either player doing that. That's a good point. There's a handful of towns that you do want to revisit when you get access to keys. Cantlin is one, and it's right here. I haven't seen either player go for the coordinates yet either, and even with this low HP total, they can physically get there for the coordinates, but I don't think we know what the coordinates are yet. And Garenham also has 3 chests behind a locked door, as well as an additional cave entrance. But yeah, AngryLarry now has all the gold, and he does what we call a safety save here, in case he does happen to run into something nasty on this short walk over to Cantlin. There are some enemies in that Zone 0 that do have Dragonlord Breath, and so of the very rare chance that you get ambushed and Dragonlord Breathed, might as well have a save file that you can revert back to. And both items were in that lower chest, the Flame Sword being in the lower shop rather, Flame Sword in the upper shop, which he doesn't need, of course, because he has the Erdrick Sword. But now he's about to buy Silver Shield and Magic Armor. Retro Omega X has decided to go also into the grave now, and also deciding not to go ahead and open the upper chests, but going directly down into the lower chests.
AngryLarry did not purchase the magic armor.
I could have sworn that there was a magic armor available in the same shop as the Silver Shield, but maybe I saw that wrong the whole time. I don't know. If not, then he knows that maybe it's available over here in Garenham. I know we've seen it. He has enough money for it. He's on the hunt. And Retro Omega X, I believe, did not make it down to the bottom of the grave, so he will probably reinitiate. And this is why, like I said, if that happens, it's sometimes nice to just go ahead and grab those same 3 chests up on the upper floor of the grave, just in case you die on the way down like this. You can go ahead and get the gold brand out of the way, get the equipment, and that makes your redive that much easier, because now you have some survivability with some better equipment. But now we have the tablet cave here for Retro Omega X. There is 1 free chest in here. You have to navigate your way through a little maze to get to it.
And AngryLarry did find the magic armor in Normal Bar.
Alright, so that satisfies everything that you would ever want to buy, but he is going to want to find, eventually, the Erdrick's armor, because it's very difficult and nearly impossible, basically, to finish the game without it. So, magic armor is great for right now. It will substantially reduce damage done. Like in this case, he would have died right there to this Armored Knight attack, but instead he gets 1 more chance to run away. So little things like that will help. Unsuccessful on that run attempt, unfortunately, but taking less damage now from the monsters. He is all the way up to 80 defense power. So that means also, if they do have the repel spell, if he so chooses, he can repel everything on the map all the way up to the wizard. So that makes some of the exploration a bit easier as well once you get some of the end game equipment. And now we're going with the Silver Harp strategy. Just summoning a random monster, and it happens to be the Wraith Knight. So that's fairly unusual. But seemingly effective right now, as the Wraith Knight is a pretty decent enemy for him to encounter at this point in the game. Taking him down for 72 experience points. And just a little bit further away from level 9. Looks like he just wants level 9 now, in hopes of gaining so much HP. But we know that he's going to get some bad news in that department. And the Silver Harp summons the Green Dragon. I'm not so sure, even with all this equipment, that the Green Dragon is what you want to fight right now, because we just don't have the HP to survive these hits. But Retro Omega X, meanwhile, has started to put together a little bit of an experience lead once again.
With the drastic difference in defense at the moment, AngryLarry could cut into that pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's funny because Retro Omega X, he did go into the grave once. I felt like he would go ahead and use that as a gold grind opportunity. When he failed on that attempt, he didn't end up going back there. He has decided to explore in a different direction. I guess just not really concerned about his equipment at this point. I mean, the Erdrick Sword really is a pretty big equalizer. You sometimes don't really care a whole lot about equipment once you have the Erdrick Sword, because you're one-shotting so many enemies like the Druin here. It just does 31 damage to the Druin, no problem. Warlock's going to be the same story. And I don't know if he's seen this town yet to the north or not. See if he can get there. One thing you do want to do that I see a Retro Omega X not doing is, even though we have low HP, you do kind of want to top off that HP with some heal spells in between. Because 37 hit points is quite a bit better than 21 hit points when you enter a battle. You can often survive a Hurt More spell now at 37 hit points. And some of these enemies, like the Knight, that could potentially ambush you, you could survive one hit. And we're going to discover it's the blue dragon guarding whatever item is here. We know that there is an item here. I'm just not sure which item it is, as the randomizer does shuffle the search spot items around. So it could be the fairy flute, could be the Erdrick's armor, or it could be the Erdrick's token. The flute is relatively optional. The other two items are required. So he now has the information that it's a blue dragon, which is a little bit of a difficult enemy with their given statistics. And even if they were to learn Hurt More, for example, it's a little bit questionable to use it on a blue dragon with a low HP total like this. But when are they going to get a level that breaks this open for these guys? They have not learned Hurt More, and they are not gaining very much HP. Retro Omega X just less than 200 points away from level 10. So there is a good example there. The Knight, he has Erdrick Sword, so he knows he can do good damage to the Knight. But he does not have the defensive equipment that AngryLarry has, and the Knight is just doing too much damage to him. With only 37 hit points, he can't survive 2 attacks from a Knight right now, whereas AngryLarry probably can fight a Knight successfully, at least most of the time. So the equipment that Larry has is an advantage right now in terms of what they're able to fight. And now AngryLarry has reached level 9.
Sheesh, 90 defense at level 9. And that's without Erdrick's armor.
Yeah, so this is a high agility, low HP seed. And it's funny because one player went with the agility build and one player went with the HP build. I feel like it's sort of the agility portion of the build is almost like wasted in this case, because they're just both going to have plenty of defense and plenty of agility regardless of the build. Whereas the HP could be really important at the end of the game. If they continue to get low HP gains, that could actually make a difference at the end, where Retro Omega X could potentially be going to fighting the Dragon Lord a level or 2 earlier than AngryLarry, because they have all the other stats except for HP. You never know, they could get like 40 hit points on the next level up. Occasionally when a stat falls this far behind, you'll get it all at once like that. But if it continues to be kind of a slow progression and the hit points are the last thing that they need, the difference in builds actually could become quite a factor at the end of the game. So we'll have to watch that closely as we go.
Equipment also playing a really big role here, because AngryLarry can survive enough of a blue dragon attack to keep healing and waiting for the blue dragon to cast Hurt to get the next attack in.
Oh, I didn't catch before that the blue dragon knows the Hurt spell. That is actually really heads-up play by AngryLarry, realizing that he could potentially defeat the blue dragon here with the Erdrick Sword, and he does it for 180 experience and access to the search spot, and it is the token, which is going to be one of the items needed for Charlotte Castle. And that was an excellent battle by Larry. What's interesting also is if there's a way for him to heal up, he could use that as kind of an early grind and get some blue dragon kills under his belt. Might be a little bit ambitious, but that was a very high value kill. 180 experience. He only has 1200 experience total after an hour of play. So he just got, like 15% of his total experience with that one battle. So I haven't done the greatest job of remembering what they've seen and what they haven't seen, but I feel like we haven't seen the mountain cave yet. That has 5 additional chests. They are still looking for the stones of sunlight. Can you recall them finding the mountain cave yet?
I have not seen the mountain cave yet. I have not seen the swamp cave yet, but I also believe we still have not seen the back of Garenham.
Yeah, if that's really true and both players have decided not to, or just have forgotten to check the back of Garenham for this long, that's interesting. If they've both done it, then it kind of, cancels each other out. But if this, the stones could be sitting right there, and like in AngryLarry's case, if he finds the stones in Garenham, that will actually save him a trip into the mountain cave. He won't have to explore mountain cave at all. If the seed plays out that way for him. So, yeah, it's always a good idea to go ahead and check that back door of Garenham, especially since it's not that far from Tanteagle. And there's a cave back there as well, which could be the mountain cave, or it could be the swamp cave leading to the mountain cave. So yeah, there's all sorts of reasons to go in that direction. Good point there.
Based upon what I'm seeing from the map exploration, it looks to me like they may be done with this continent, so I'm guessing it's the swamp cave.
Yeah, and that actually can be a cause of confusion. If a runner forgets the detail that you just mentioned, they actually might feel like, wow, I really have explored the whole map, haven't I? Maybe did I miss some nook and cranny in the map? And what happens is you could start exploring the same parts of the map over and over again, thinking that you missed something, when meanwhile, all that's happening is that the swamp cave is in Garenham, and you need to go through there to get to the rest of the locations. So we'll have to watch and see who remembers to go there. And Retro Omega X now kind of looking around for enemies in the town of Hawksness, maybe deciding that this enemy set is a nice potential grind spot, and maybe just looking for level 10 before going up against the Blue Dragon. That I think he knows that the Blue Dragon is there. If you just get 100 more experience on these Druids and Warlocks, then maybe he'll get a nice hit point gain, making the Blue Dragon fight that much easier. So let's see if he's successful with this strategy.
Also, neither player has gone to Cantlin to get the coordinates.
Oh, for the coordinates, absolutely. And we know that they are going to have to find, well, I guess the Fairy Flute could end up being on the overworlds, but they don't know that yet. It would be nice to have the coordinates just in case you happen to, come across the swamp cave and you happen to be strong enough to rescue the princess. You could do a lot of things all at once if you have the coordinates in your hand here, but you're right. That's another detail that they'll probably both need to do at some point. And have they found the town of Cole? Was there anything, did they find the flute in the town of Cole, perhaps? What am I thinking of? I might be mixing up my seeds already.
They have not found Cole yet. They've not found Cole or Breckenary.
Okay, so Cole is going to be a fairly important town for them to find. And again, that could be on the other continent, separated by the Swamp Cave, which we're assuming is probably in the town of Garenham. So there's a lot of reasons now to go and check that back door. AngryLarry is right there, right? This is the town of Garenham. Let's see if he remembers here. He may be going in here for other reasons, and if he goes and takes an inn stop, he might look and be like, hey, wait, there's a door there that I forgot to go into. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we have in the 3 chests.
Torch, fairy water, and wings.
All right. Not exactly what he was looking for. So yeah, if the Stones of Sunlight happen to be right there, then, that would make a lot of his decisions easier. But now let's see if this is the Swamp Cave. And it is, because he casts the town of Outside and it magically appears in a totally different place. So that was Swamp South, which means that you can cast Outside to exit the north end of the Swamp Cave. And Second Continent is beginning to be explored, which we're going to assume has the towns of Brackenary and Cole somewhere, as well as the Mountain Cave. And have we seen both the Shrine Cave and the Jerk Cave yet? Do you
Yes,
recall?
we have. The Staff of Rain Cave was just south of Tantigo at the very beginning, and the Jerk Cave is in the basement of Garinham.
Yeah, so
basement of Tantigo, I mean.
So that's another detail to me. Well, okay, so if the Jerk Cave is right there and they know where it is, yeah, so never mind my thought there. But sometimes when you haven't found the Jerk Cave yet, and the Staff Cave is right nearby, at your opportunity when you get die or something, you do want to trade that harp in, because in case you find the Jerk Cave later on after acquiring the stones, let's say, you just want to get that out of the way on your first go. But if the Jerk Cave is in Tantegel, then all of those errands can be done at the end.
And we didn't see Sherlock on the first continent, did we? Oh yeah, we did. It's like Garinham, isn't it? Right there at the beginning.
And meanwhile, they both have reached level 10, and I forgot to check that out. But we're up into the 40s now for maximum hit points. So they now can pretty much no matter what survive a 1 hurt more spell. And they can survive the first punch now from just about every enemy that's out there. This Golem might be an exception, but just about all the enemies, they can survive the first punch. So it's kind of a threshold to get over. It's still pretty low though for level 10, and they're going to want a lot more hit points in a hurry here to really make some of this a bit easier. But they are managing. You can see they're taking less deaths now, and that is at least partially related to having just a little bit more hit points to work with. And Larry has regained the lead, and quite substantially, and he's reached level 11.
15 hit points.
That is one of the boosts that they were looking for. And he's got a huge amount of agility already. And one of the reasons why that is important is that with 92 agility, or 92 defense power, which combines the agility statistic with the equipment that he's sporting, he is actually defense breaking a lot of enemies now. Like that knight that he keeps running into is no longer going to swing and do a lot of damage against him. Enemies like the Demon Knight, or even that wizard that was popping up near Charlotte Castle, he is now defense breaking all those enemies. And the ones that don't have spells like this Wraith Knight casting Hurt More, or enemies of Dragonlord Breath, just those regular enemies like the Magiwyverns and the Knight, if they don't have any abilities, they're no longer going to hurt him because of that defense score. The defense breaking that we refer to, a whole different damage formula is used once you are your defense power exceeds their strength. So at that point, a knight that was doing 25 or 30 damage to you now can sometimes do 1 damage or 3 damage. So that will make his survivability that much easier. The lack of doing a gold grind again for Retro Omega X and going and getting that equipment is going to hurt him in a lot of these different ways.
One note on the defense breaking, it also can be a big play late, or a big boost late in the game, as it can encourage you to grind as you're making the dive down, because it's easy to grind all the monsters in Charlock.
Right, if the monsters are unable to swing and hit you back, you can go ahead and 2-shot or 3-shot some of those enemies on the way down without worrying about the fact that you're going to have to heal yourself back up after battle. So yeah, absolutely. And also the figure of 90 defense is significant because the Dragonlord 1 has is defense broken once you get to 90 for your defense power. And so at that point, he can actually physical you sometimes for 1 or 2 damage. And that can allow you to hold on to a heal more going through the Dragonlord 1 fight and into the Dragon Lord 2 fight. So in this way, assuming they don't gain any more substantial agility for the rest of the game, in some of these ways, the agility build that Larry is using gives him, it puts him over those thresholds, whereas Retro Omega X isn't quite there yet with only 83 agility.
And we find Breckenary.
All
And
right.
Cole right beside it.
He nopes out of Brackenary, and so we'll now see if it's the flute or the armor. And if it's the flute, then he's going to have to go get those coordinates.
It is the armor, which means that all we need to find now is the mountain cave so we can get the Stones of Sunlight out of it.
Yeah, it also means he does not have to bother getting those coordinates now. That saves him a little bit of a trip, and he doesn't have to go searching out what is on those coordinates because the fairy flute is somewhat optional, so he won't bother going to that overworld search spot at this point. So he's already seen now what's in Cole, and he's seen what's in Hawksness. Meanwhile, Retro Omega X seems to not want to fight this blue dragon at the search spot. Is that correct? He has not yet gotten the token from the search spot.
I believe so. I think
Yeah.
he's looking to get to level 10 to try the dragon out again.
Yeah, and you made a good point earlier. It's that lack of equipment that he has. He feels like he can be physical in one shot by the blue dragon, which he's probably not wrong in a lot of ways. So he's feeling like he just isn't strong enough to fight the blue dragon, even though I think he's fought enough of them out in this area to see that they do have the hurt spell. I think he has that information. And sometimes when you know that you have a better chance. But he's hoping that the next level will really help, and he's almost there.
I don't think I noticed this, but it looks like AngryLarry has hurt more, so we must have gotten that at level 11.
All right, and that just makes some of these battles that much faster. And he is now also in the mountain cave, and that is probably a requirement. The stones, I think, has to be here at this point. I'm trying to think if we've missed any other chests in the game.
I think we've hit all the chests at this point.
Yeah, so he is going on the hunt for the stones, and as soon as he finds those, I think he can pretty much just outside right out of here immediately. I can't think of anything else that hasn't been found. He even has the fighter's ring and the death necklace, for example. So there's no other things that he would have to find after finding the stones. But so far, he has only found the torch, and I missed what was in the first one. Maybe the wings?
I think that's right.
All right, and we have a key. There are two more chests, one a little bit south of the stairs, and then one that's a little bit longer walk. One of these two chests, I'm pretty sure, has to contain the Stones of Sunlight, and then he will have all three quest items. He can go back to Tanteagle and trade in the harp for the staff, and then he can go to the Rainbow Drop Cave and get the Rainbow Drop. And he's got it. He's going to check this last chest just out of curiosity, I believe, but I don't think there's anything here that could be useful.
Yeah, this is just going to be a completionist kind of thing. Nothing.
All
What could be more
right, it is
useful than
empty, so we're going to have an outside and probably a return here. What else would he even be wandering around the second continent for at this point? I think there's no reason for him to hang around here unless there's a grind zone that he happens to like. As we are going to need more levels, we have a lot more hit points to gain before we can even entertain the idea of fighting the Dragon Lord.
Now, I don't believe we've seen the grind or the monster guarding Gwaelin in the swamp cave, so there may be a better grind spot than the blue dragon.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was right in the back of Garenham, so that's just a quick walk from Tanteagle if he wants to get the items out of the way. He seems to want to be grinding on the Stone Man here, or he has some other reason to just be walking around here. I think he's looking for something in particular, and he does not have the repel spell activated, so what is he looking for exactly? I'm not totally sure.
Maybe it's just because he's so close to 12, he wants to get there before he goes anywhere. I'm not sure what benefit that would be, but that may be what he's thinking.
Yeah, he could also just walk back over to where the other end of the swamp cave was on this continent and check out the spike tile from that direction if he doesn't want to go back through Garenham from the first continent. He's not that far away from where that is. If he does manage to outlast the Stone Man, we're going to get to see level 12 here. Let's see what we get. All right, the power statistic also starting to be a problem. Only 4 power gained there, and just a small chunk of HP there as well. He does have the Erdrick Sword equipped and only 104 attack power, so that is another statistic that's a problem all of a sudden. So probably several more levels need to be gained here. So he could go in, well, let's see. He may have the idea that you have of going back through Garenham and checking out the Swamp Cave spike tile here. The other possibility is that there's a certain grind zone that he likes over in the overworld somewhere out here. Otherwise, there's some possibility that he just forgot where the Jerk Cave was and he's looking for it. Otherwise, I'm not totally sure what he's up to here. Maybe he's going back to Hawksness to grind on the Blue Dragon?
That's what it looks like is going on.
Okay. So he's a little bit of low resources to be doing that, but, he can probably get a couple of battles in. And meanwhile, Retro Omega X is doing his own version of overworld grinding, and he's actually made up some ground on that experience lead, just 500 points behind, despite having a lack of equipment defensively. So let's see what's going on. So he already went and got the staff, but he has not found the stones, and he still has not fought that blue dragon for the token.
Wow, we just found out the Blue Dragon has Heal More.
Oh, so that means that AngryLarry was fairly lucky to win that other battle with the Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
It's possible that it's only a 25% chance, I guess, although that would be a little bit rare. But wow, that is interesting if he was just lucky enough to beat it on this first try, despite the fact that I don't think they even had the stop spell yet at that point. And, he was at kind of a low level to fight the Blue Dragon. Maybe Retro Omega X found out that they had Heal More or something, and that's why he has not been fighting it. But now, here we go. Let's see if he gets him this time with the Hurt More spell. No effect. 0 for 2. One of the things you can do when this happens is you can actually run away from the battle and heal up away from the battle and go back into the spike tile and try again with your Hurt More spells, but he tries to stick it out and he is unsuccessful. But he does know that Hurt More is a pretty good way for him to try and combat this Blue Dragon if he's aware that it has Heal More and he doesn't have the Stop spell. He does have Stop spell. Well, we'll see. I think he's going to want to go back there soon. He's been kind of in that Hawksness area for 20 or 25 minutes of the game now, I think, just trying to beat that Blue Dragon. And AngryLarry is now starting a Blue Dragon grind here. So let's see how that works out for him. So a question in chat about the stop spell resistance on the blue dragons. I believe that stop spell resistance in Randomizer is randomized, and as the enemies get progressively stronger, the range that's randomized is wider and wider. So the red dragon, for example, I think can be from 0 to 12 resistance out of 16, whereas something like a ghost or whatever might be, I don't know what the range is exactly, but they might give them like a 0 to 4 chance, let's say, of resisting. So, but it is within that range, it's randomized.
I don't have the chart in front of me, but with the blue dragon, it's either 12 out of 16 or 11 out of 16 is the max stop spell resistance.
Yeah, exactly, right.
For a ghost,
the hurt more resistance is not randomized, and that's about 50-50. It might be 7 out of 16 or 9 out of 16 or something. So you have like, around a 25% chance of landing 2 hurt mores in a row, for example. So it is a viable strategy to take down the blue dragon when they do have heal more. But instead, Retro Omega X, what's he got here? He's going to check out the swamp. Well, he's going through the swamp cave. Okay. Oh, he hasn't been over here yet. So he has finally gone through the back of Garanham, and he is going through the swamp cave. Okay. While he takes care of that, AngryLarry is busy grinding on blue dragons. And so now, despite the fact that Retro Omega X has sort of closed the gap experience-wise, we can now expect AngryLarry to open up that gap again, because he's doing nothing but fighting high-value enemies, while Retro Omega X has a lot of errands to run still before he can go into grind mode. I would say that on the challenge scale, this is an above average difficulty seed. We're at 1 hour and 22 minutes and not particularly close to going into Sharlock yet. AngryLarry's gonna go back and maybe heal up and take another look at his stats and maybe even check to see if there's a faster grind, because some of those blue dragon fights were awfully slow that he was just dealing with there. So he may be looking for a different way of grinding these levels. So yeah, you would think that an average difficulty seed takes about 1.5 hours for an experienced runner like AngryLarry. We're looking at exceeding that pretty significantly tonight. And the main challenge to me has just been the stat growth, and particularly the HP growth is really difficult to deal with as you're trying to explore the map.
I think AngryLarry may be deciding to see if he can grind in Sharlock.
Yeah, and maybe just remembered now that he didn't run this extra errand to go get the rainbow drop, so he will get that out of the way. It's in the basement of Tantegel. And once he has that in possession, Sharlock Castle is very close to Tantegel, which is pretty convenient. And you're right, so that's a possibility. Sharlock enemies include things like the Wizard, the Green Dragon, Star Wyvern potentially, and some of those enemies can be hurt moored. Star Wyvern, Werewolf, Green Dragon. Once you do have hurt more like AngryLarry does, it may be faster to go into Sharlock if that zone happens to be those types of enemies. Then it would be faster than trying to grind through that blue dragon potentially. So, sometimes if the grind seems like it's going slowly, you got to try other things. Might want to restock on herbs while he's in Cantlin, or perhaps he already has the herbs that he needs. He's just getting an in-stop now. The other thing, like you mentioned, is that they hadn't checked the spike tile on in the swamp cave, which could be something like an Axe Knight, which most people believe is the very best grind in most situations. But instead, first he's going to check out the top floor of Sharlock Castle to see what sort of zone is here. Sometimes people even go and dive a little bit further in and check out maybe what the second zone has to offer for enemies as well. So it's a lot of different options.
To occasionally dive all the way to the mini boss to see if that's grindable.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have a ton of MP, which they don't in this case. But yeah, if you can get all the way down there and still have like half of your MP, and you're fighting things on the way down, and the mini boss happens to be something much better than anything else, then that's another option. But right now, we have a pretty nice zone here. We have the Axe Knight popping up quite a lot in the top floor of Sharlock. You can frequently one-shot them with Hurtmore for 130 experience or so. Star Wyvern also, you can one-shot them a lot of times with Hurtmore, although he's choosing to attack the Star Wyvern because he is defense breaking it, remember. And if 97 defense power is correct, he's also defense breaking the Axe Knight. So it's... Hurtmore may be faster, but if you physically attack these monsters, you can conserve your MP longer and avoid a healing trip. So a lot of different little strategies kind of interplaying. You're trying to figure out what's the fastest, most efficient scenario for the exact situation you're in here.
I would say with Cantlin being just a few steps away from the entrance to here, having to go and get a magic refill probably isn't that painful.
Yeah, absolutely, and that should be a factor for their approach here as well. So we have an abysmal level up for a Larry with like a 3, a 2, a 1, and a 2, or something to that effect. And didn't catch if they learned the Heal More spell, but they are going to need the Heal More spell to finish the game. So that's one more thing to look out for, and no matter what happens with the stats,
Nope, no
absolutely
Heal More.
must have Heal More. So there's 3 more levels available before you'll be guaranteed to learn Heal More. But for now, 13 is not even close to enough levels. 69 hit points and 106 attack power. Both of those statistics have a long way to go. And we do have the Red Dragon on the top floor. It's good to know. He is able to run away from the Red Dragon quite easily with 96 agility points. But the rest of these enemies here are actually a very good mix of enemies for a grind. I think this is a better move than fighting the Blue Dragon. I like the decision so far.
Speaking of the Blue Dragon, as GameBoy9 just pointed out in chat, with the 98 defense power, AngryLarry is now defense breaking the Blue Dragons.
Ah, okay, so with that last level up, he went from 97 to 98 defense power, which is the threshold for the Blue Dragon. So yeah, he could go in there. Fortunately, the Blue Dragon does have Heal More. So just physically going in and hitting him with your sword, I don't know. It's an interesting thought, though, that Heal More seemed to be a low percentage. It might be a 25% Heal More, but meanwhile, he's defense breaking the Axe Knight as well, so it's... I don't know. A lot of possibilities. And Retro Omega X is making his way through... Is this the mountain cave that was on the second continent? Or is he back in the grave? I don't think he ever went to the bottom of the grave, did he?
No, I think he's on his way to the bottom of the grave right now.
Okay. So that's an interesting decision. He knows he needs the Stones of Sunlight. So... instead of going and finding the mountain cave on the second continent, he's decided to just make sure that what he's looking for isn't just right here. And so he'll get the bad news shortly. He's almost at the bottom chest. And he will have to find the mountain cave or re-find it. I know he went to the second continent. I'm not sure how far he went around that continent before coming back here.
Thought maybe he tried to parlay that into a gold grind, but he did not.
And again, he decides not to go with the gold grind. Yeah, absolutely interesting that he still has no shield. Could that be right? And he has the leather armor. I thought I maybe saw somebody mention that he purchased the chainmail at some point. I don't know. Whatever it was, he does not have the best stuff available. And AngryLarry now is approaching level 14. You get that at 56.25, if I recall. So 5 or 6 more of these enemies here. And we will see if we learn Heal More, and we'll see if we learn, or if we obtain some hit points or some strength. Get stronger, man! Put some muscle into it. Let's go!
And we just found our 4th monster with Dragon Lord 2 Breath in the Goldman.
Yeah, it's when you don't have the Erdrick's armor and you have low hit points, any monster that happens to have Dragonlord 2 Breath can send you home. It is the challenge of this seed.
Golems have sleep. That shouldn't ordinarily be an issue because they are fairly easy to run from, but if they do get you down, it can hurt, as we just saw from AngryLarry's screen.
That's interesting, because he hadn't really been popping up on that first floor of Sharlock, but finally... so the mix seems to be the Red Dragon, the Golem, the Star Wyvern, the Axe Knight, and I'm forgetting the fifth one. I think he's seen all 5 enemies at this point. But even just with the Star Wyvern and the Axe Knight in the zone, I think it's worthwhile because they're both hurt morable. He's defense breaking both of them. I think it's still worthwhile. He can easily run from Red Dragon. Well, not easily from the Red Dragon, but he can run from the Red Dragon. He can easily run from the Golem. It's very high agility. He is on the Strength Agility build, so he has a bit more agility at this juncture than Retro Omega X. But, blocked this time by the Red Dragon. Red Dragon so far appears to not have anything up its sleeve, just going with the physical attack. Which is good to note. You know, when you're on your dive, you don't want to be surprised by a Red Dragon that has some ability that you weren't ready for.
Retro Omega X seems to be contemplating something at the moment.
So now the way this is going with AngryLarry, you can see he's doing a lot of walking around and a lot of running from golems and red dragons. It may be time to revisit the blue dragon grind idea again. This has started to slow down here for AngryLarry. Just not getting encounters very often. Here he's about to die to a red dragon because he just doesn't have enough hit points. Oh, and it does have the Dragonlord 2 Breath. Yeah. Okay, well, so that's at least good to know, but it's, that may no longer be the best grind. I think when he was at level 11 or 12, seemed like a better idea. Now he may want to find somewhere else. He may want to go and see what is in the swamp cave, for example. I'm not sure what's happening with Retro Omega X, taking a quick break. And hopefully he will be moving on and fighting more bad guys while AngryLarry continues his grind. What does Retro Omega X still have to do? Still has to find the Stones of Sunlight, which means it's going to have to make his way back over to the second continent at some point, find and explore the mountain cave. We still don't have him marked off as having the token, which means he's got to go back up to Hawksnest and fight that blue dragon. And then once all that's done, he's going to have to come back and grab that rainbow drop. So
0 HP for level 14.
All right.
You got a nice boost in attack power, but 0 HP. This could be a long one.
Yeah, this kind of feels like a potential level 18 kind of grind to me, but you can sometimes get surprised. It can come all at once. I'm starting to feel like this is going to be on the longer side, like a level 18 or so. And so if that's the case, you sort of have to really figure out what is the more efficient grind, because it's not like you just need a half a level and just like, all right, I'm here now, let's just get it. If you feel like you may need 3 or 4 levels, you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And so I don't know. He's been running around the top floor of Sharlock. It's only about half of the monsters in here are fightable. And I don't know. It seems like it's slow going. He's still making faster progress than Retro Omega X, who is, busy exploring. He's, casting Repel and trying to explore the map, but still seems to be kind of a slow grind here. The Star Wyvern's only worth 105 experience. Axe Knight's a nice find in here, of course, but I don't know. Well, he's going to continue this. Maybe he's going to go check out the second zone now. See what's down in the middle floors of Charlock. Maybe it's a more friendly zone. Sort of walking in that direction anyways. And let's see, where are we for Retro Omega X? Where is he and what is he doing?
He just bought a bunch of keys. Maybe he's going back to Garenham to go to the Swamp Cave again.
Yeah, it's really those two tasks. I'm not sure if he has ever gone back to Cantlin to get the coordinates. I haven't noticed that. From his point of view, he could certainly still need the coordinates. But he does already know where Hawksness is. And, he knows that he still hasn't explored the mountain cave as well. So he could kind of do all these things in any order. Looks like right now he may go back through the swamp cave. Let's see if he decides to go in the back door here. Okay.
Just another thing to note.
He's going.
Looking at the stats lines here, even though Retro Omega X is significantly back in experience, he still has 4 more hit points than AngryLarry. So that strength HP versus strength agility looks like it really still could come into play.
Oh yeah, it could make a difference of at least 1 and sometimes more than 1 level as far as being able to fight the Dragon Lord. So you're absolutely right. If that comes into play, then this is a closer race than it appears right now. Yeah, the hit points in particular. Yeah, that's a good call there. They might be, when they get onto the same level, they might be 8 or 9 or 10 hit points apart, because you can see that, well, back when they were on the same level, I think AngryLarry had 8 or 9 agility points more than Retro Omega X. So it should be probably a similar situation for the hit points as well. And he is going through the swamp cave, back to the second continent. Now, the town of Cole was in the second continent as well, correct? So
that's right.
If he can find that, he will have the Erdrick's armor as well. So some good things can happen if he can explore this second continent without getting sent back home. Golem was one of the enemies that probably could have done that, but he was able to get away. And hurt more on the knight is a good strategy, so he's on his way, making good progress on the second continent, while Larry is checking out the lower zones of Charlotte Castle. Probably going to try and check out all 3 zones just for some information, grinding his way down. The Stone Man actually still not defense breaking the Stone Man, but he is able to take him down. Stone Man, I believe you don't defense break him until you have 100 defense power. So, but there are werewolves down here. Nothing really to be too concerned about on this dive. I don't know if the Red Dragon has made an appearance besides that top floor. Red Dragons with Dragon Lord Breath, not what you want to see on your dive when you have low hit points, but everything else seems to be somewhat friendly. So that means you could kind of go and do a dive on a borderline level. If you get this information and it seems like the dive is going to be very difficult, then that might cause you to gain maybe an additional level that you otherwise wouldn't if you end up at like a borderline situation. So he is gaining valuable information by doing this, and there is the Red Dragon in this zone as well. So it's good to know.
And Retro Omega X is going to get his Erdrick's armor right now, which should significantly increase his progression speed.
Oh yeah, this is huge for him. He'll take less damage from enemies. He's not going to take any more damage from swamp tiles. He can repel more monsters. He can defense break more monsters. That's a huge pickup, upgrading from the leather armor all the way up to the Erdrick's armor. And he has some gold here he wants to spend. But But now that he has the armor, he doesn't need to buy any armor. I don't know that he... Wasn't there a large shield right there in that? Does he have a shield? Let me see if we can see it on his sprite. Alright, he is carrying some sort of a shield. So I don't know. I thought he saw that the large shield was there and he just decided not to buy it. So I would give him credit for the large shield. I don't know. So if we do that, then he's got a pretty decent defense point total now, despite being on the HP build. So yeah, that Erdrick's armor really helping him. He just needs to find the mountain cave now.
And even with all that agility, these red dragons are making that descent pretty tough.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. If you get the information that red dragon is in every zone and you end up at a borderline hit point total, like maybe you want one more level sometimes. I know it's a race and you kind of have to take the risk, or you feel like you need to take the risk, but the dive is half the battle. When you have borderline stats, that's a matter of getting all the way to the Dragon Lord with full resources. And if that seems like it's unlikely, then sometimes it's prudent to grab another level. So he has that information now of what's in all the zones, whereas Retro Omega X does not. So we'll see if that helps him make some end game decisions. And now he's just looking for somewhere to grind. He needs more levels. And it's going slowly.
AngryLarry just 45 experience from the next level now, so he just wants to finish that off before he makes the next decision about what he's going to do.
Yeah, and so from Retro Omega X's perspective, he has found the armor on a search spot, but he has not discovered what is in Hawksnest search spot. And, he still could potentially need the coordinates. And he may not realize...
51 hit points.
Okay. There we go. That makes this more interesting. Now, we're not quite there with attack power versus MP, but we're a lot closer now. So it could be the next level, depending on the power gain and the MP gain. But now the HP is no longer a thing, so the builds don't matter from that perspective. That was crazy. Here we are.
One way the build could still matter is if strength gains don't come in the next few levels, either strength or HP come in the next few levels, Retro Omega X may have enough hit points to use the Death Necklace and get that extra 10.
Yeah, you're right. And they do have the Death Necklace, do they not? So looks like we have both of them marked off for carrying the Death Necklace around. So yeah, at level 15, we'll have to see. But Retro Omega X actually might be at 130 hit points. Or at least it'll be close. Might be at like 128, 129. So that puts him potentially up to 130 attack power. Still not enough with only 69 MP, but it's way closer. AngryLarry, no matter what, he needs another level here. But now at least the HP mystery is solved. So he can now just look for attack power. And is he now in the Swamp Cave? Is he going to finally check the spike tile in the Swamp Cave? That is the other possible grind spot.
Yes, and
Here
Retro Omega X just checked that, and it was the Golem.
Yeah, and what do the Golems have up their sleeve? It was not something friendly.
They have sleep, which is not fun.
Yes.
How hard they hit. Then again, with 99 defense power and 120 hit points, that might not be so scary. If you can land a stop spell.
Well, the defense, they're not defense-breaking golems, I know that. So they're still going to hit you pretty hard, even with all this defense. And if you get put to sleep, That's a problem. And it's just slow with this attack power as well. It might take 4 or 5 shots sometimes to kill a golem. So he is maybe going to just try and find like a desert region here where he can just hurt more some knights. And I don't know. Let's see if he goes somewhere else or if he settles in on some kind of overworld grind, or maybe he'll go back for another Sharlock grind. So the grind is becoming an issue. He may want to go back to that blue dragon at this point. Defense breaking the blue dragon now.
It's interesting. Retro Omega X did not find the mountain cave on the second continent. He went to go check the spike tile, found out it was the golem, died, and then he went and got the coordinates. So it appears that he's actually trying to get the fairy flute so he could attempt a golem grind.
Yeah, so this was the thing I was getting back to before, is that from his perspective now, he doesn't have the stones, but what the thing is, he doesn't have the token, and he may not really be aware that the token, in this case, because of the whole cursed belt thing, that it has to be on a search spot. So now he may feel like the token could still be in a chest, and if the mountain cave is still out there somewhere. So now it's like he still has all these things that he needs to do. That's why he went. Part of the reason why he went down into the bottom of the grave again, and he still, for some reason, hasn't gone back to try and fight that blue dragon at Hotsness, unless we missed it. But
maybe he's hoping that.
So there's a lot of places
that
the token can be.
Spot.
Right. From his perspective, there's still a lot of places that the token can be, and he still hasn't found the stone. So still a lot of things to do. It feels like he just keeps running around making a different plan every time he dies or whatever. And if he really feels like he's explored the second continent fully and somehow he missed the mountain cave, that is going to be a giant problem for him, because he's just now looking like he's running around the same areas. Now he's back in Hawksness, so if he could at least check this box off and see what's in this search spot, that'll help his cause here, because if he can see that the token is here, that will save him a trip. You don't need to go to the overworld search spot if you already have the armor and the token, because the stones are guaranteed to be in a chest. Those will not be on the overworld. So this is the right play, I think. Once he gets this token, that will help him figure out what he needs to do.
Meanwhile, AngryLarry actually just went to go get the coordinates so that he could do the golem grind.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I suppose if the coordinates happen to be really close by, which I missed what the coordinates were, but he's counting them, so they must be close by.
I think it was 16 and 42.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Is it really worth all this time to set up a golem grind when the golem has sleep? Oh my goodness. I don't know. There have got to be better ways to grind one more level here. We could be one level away at this point, now that he's got the hit points. That's interesting, though. Well, if he gets this flute... Man, a lot of interesting decisions going on right now. This end game is not a crystal clear path. They're trying to get more experience points as quickly as possible.
I'm wondering if the top floor of Sharlock might be ideal again, because now with 120 hit points and having heal more, those red dragons aren't as scary, and you could actually get a fair amount of experience points from them.
Oh, and my goodness, and he has lost his count somehow. But on the fourth try, he gets the fairy flute. So at least all this counting was not for nothing. And he has the flute in hand. It only took him a couple of minutes to do this, and now he does have the flute if he wants to go back to the swamp cave and fight some golems. They are worth 255 experience points every time you defeat one. So I get the idea here. See if it pays off for him. See if he can avoid that sleep spell and take down some golems. Interesting. It's kind of rare that the fairy flute ends up being an item that, a player would go out of their way to obtain, because in so many seeds, it becomes just kind of like a disappointment. It doesn't really come into play that often. And this is maybe one of the 5% of the seeds where it may be a fairly important item. So he went and got it. He's got some keys now. He I think, is maybe going to heal himself up somewhere. And he's going back to the Swamp Cave. And where is Retro Omega X here? He's on the first continent.
Yeah, he's right outside of Garanham.
Alright, he must have gotten the token, right? He was in Hawk's Nest a minute ago. Did we see him get the token? Maybe the chat can help us out.
Yes, he has it.
Alright. So we'll give Retro Omega X the token, and so now all he needs is the Stones of Sunlight, and he's already been to the bottom of the grave. I feel like he knows now that the token, or the stones, has to be in the Mountain Cave, because he's seen the chests in the Tantegel Treasury, he's seen the ones in Garanham, he has found Rimuldar, he looked at that chest, he saw all 5 chests in the grave. There's one in the Stones Cave and one in the Tablet Cave. Can't recall if he saw both of those. I believe he probably did. And if he did, then that just leaves the 5 chests in the Mountain Cave. The stones has to be there. So he's on his way back to the second continent. Alright, and here is the Golem Spike Tile for Larry, and he is going to unleash the flute. And so let's see how many attacks it takes him to finish off a golem with 120 attack power. Yeah, see, and it woke up and put him right to sleep. If this is like a 75% sleep, this is dangerous. But he wakes up. It's going to put him back to sleep. This is a battle of putting each other to sleep here. We have a very sleepy fight on our hands over here.
Well, it is midnight over here on the East Coast.
Go to sleep. No, you go to sleep. No, you. Alright, so that's 255 experience, and he finds another golem just like that. And he puts this one to sleep. So, let's see. He's only about like 6 golems away from level 16. The experience points come quick when it's 255 at a time. And takes 9750 to get to level 16. So he could have this in a matter of about 3 minutes, if all goes well. And meanwhile, Retro Omega X, is he still looking for the Mountain Cave, or does he know where it is and he's just on his way there?
I don't think he has found it yet.
Ooh, that is some bad luck, actually, as far as exploring the map goes, and he's almost out of resources. If he at least remembers where the nearby towns are on this continent, he could heal himself back up. I think he's getting close now to finding the Mountain Cave. I think it was around this corner, wasn't it? There's the town. Not bothering with an in stop, he just wants to find the Mountain Cave. It's getting low on MP, but he's got a pretty good walk going. I guess, with the repel spell, all he's going to be facing now are enemies that are stronger than wizards at this point. Werewolves and on up from there. He has 85 defense power.
The golem won the sleep battle against AngryLarry right there.
Yeah, that is the problem with that grind. Oh my god, it's such an interesting situation. So it's, because it's a little bit of a walk now. You got to go all the way back to Garanham. You got to spend another key. You got to go through the town. And you got to walk halfway through the Swamp Cave. So when that happens, it's, feels like a little bit of time lost. But it still might be the right play because, like we said, it's only 5 or 6 golems to get another level here. And
it could be worthwhile to, after he uses the Fairy Flute, try to land a stop spell.
Yeah, or at least try it a few times, see if it happens to have high resistance or low resistance, because that, as we discussed earlier, the stop spell resistances are randomized. It may land every time. No way to know that without trying it a few times, so yeah, I like that idea as well. And Retro Omega X is closing in on level 14. And AngryLarry at level 15, does he have the Heal More spell yet? Because
yes, he does.
Okay, so they've learned it towards the end, but not all the way at the end. So that's one less thing that he needs for end game. So we're just looking for the power stat to match up with the MP stat. And then it's go time. And we're going to have a sub 2 hour seed here. We're going to go over 2 hours. I would say that is on the upper quarter of, potential times that these races take.
Yeah, but that is largely just a result of the brutal levels that we've gotten in this seed.
Oh yeah, I think both racers have handled the race and the seed fairly well, actually. There are a lot of kind of tough decisions and a lot of dealing with low HP for the whole seed and everything. It's been a challenging seed, there's no doubt. So yeah, we're going over 2 hours despite some pretty good racers here. And Larry is back to the castle again. My goodness. Now he's making a turn towards Sharlock. He might be done with the golem here. Just needs to get 1,000 more experience, not even, to see if level 16 is enough. It's going back in and immediately finds a red dragon breathing fire on him. It's just, oh. So at least now he has 120 hit points, so like this red dragon is a lot less deadly than it was when he was running around with like 70 hit points, But still, he's looking for enemies to grind on. He's not looking for golems and red dragons.
The red
a little bit of frustration.
Grind when you have heal more and 120 hit points. You can almost treat it like a mini dragon lord, but 255 experience for that too. It can pay off.
Yeah, both racers too have got to be looking at their chats and seeing if the other guys finished the seed yet. It's like, wow, it's 2 hours and we're still going here. That's pretty unusual, and it's got to put both racers a little bit on edge. So you got to be getting nervous that they're falling behind. A lot of things have gone wrong for both racers. Seemingly, they got to feel like they're both unlucky in a way. Like, oh man, if I'm having this bad luck, I'm behind for sure. Meanwhile, the other guy's having just as much trouble, and we're still going in, almost 2 hours in. So it's just ramps up the tension. The stress levels have got to be high. Trying to figure out how to get experience points. Who would have thought that at the end of the game we would have so much trouble getting experience points? And in Sharlock Castle, Larry is back to trying to grind on a golem here. My goodness. Let's see if he can get this one. And every time you blow that flute, it's like another 8 seconds just rolls off your timer as well. And there's no guarantee that he's going to stay asleep on the first turn anyway. So it's a whole just lengthy situation. It's like you want faster grinds, but there just isn't one available.
Yeah, and seeds like this are so draining when you've had everything you need, when you're spending more time grinding than you do, and you have everything you need, and when you can't find a good grind spot, because you're always assuming your opponent found the perfect place to grind.
Yeah, this actually, every once in a while I see somebody where they actually just go out into the overworld and find like a desert region that has, let's say, a mix of axe knights and like knights and magic wyverns, and just hurt-mooring those guys, like just running around in the overworld. That may actually be the best grind available in this seed, but you have to know where that is. You have to have like made a note of it as you're walking around, and and it's not always the perfect mix out in the overworld either. It's hard to find like that perfect zone anyways, but it may be out there. And this seed, it just may be one of those where that would have been the best option if you could find it. But, the next best thing is to just find the best enemies you can. I think Sharlock Castle seems to have a mix that AngryLarry is comfortable with. And every time he runs into a golem, he's not running away. He's going after it. And poor Retro Omega X, with resources and reserves, seems to be sent home again. I don't think he was able to acquire the stones.
No, I still don't think he has found the mountain cave, but I think he might at this point. I'm wondering if there he was trying to get Gwaelin so he could get the fairy flute. Or else he's just trying to grind some more levels to see if he can survive long enough to keep exploring the second continent.
And he just did pass the threshold for a level. He's on. Here we are for AngryLarry, 124 attack power now, with 76 magic, and now he's up over 130 hit points as well. So if he has the Death Necklace, now we're looking at 134 attack power if you use the Death Necklace, and 76 MP. That's still really not enough. If you use the Death Necklace, you have no shot at a double attack. 134 and 76 is not enough. I'm sorry?
I said I think the Death Necklace, with the Death Necklace, they'd be averaging about 12.5 per hit, which means you need to get around 10 to 11 hits on or 10 to 12 hits on the Dragon Lord. So it's definitely a tight one. I think it would be doable, but I don't necessarily think the odds are in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon Lord, the minimum HP for the Dragon Lord in Randomizer is 150. It's a bit less, I think, in the original game. It might be 130 if memory serves, but yeah, in Randomizer it's 150 to 165. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're gonna need more attacks than that with 134 attack power, which is a range of 8 to 17, 12.5 on average. You'd probably need
just math wrong. It would be 12 to 14.
Yeah, it's you're just a little short here, I think. If you don't use the Death Necklace, you're looking at 124, and unfortunately, that you just need way more MP. Now you can get some double attacks, but it's just you need a way more MP. So one more level for AngryLarry.
Hits at that, and I don't think you can get that many double attacks with only 9 heal mores.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're just lacking for MP mostly at this point. But it is good news for AngryLarry that he has hit the threshold for the Death Necklace, which certainly could be a thing here for both players. They may end up using it. If nothing else, if it's close either way, the Death Necklace just will allow you to just finish the fight faster. In a race situation, that can be a consideration as well. So he has crossed the 130 hit point threshold for wanting to be able to use the Death Necklace. And so now that's just a little extra math he's going to have to remember to do on the next level when he gets some more power. He's going to have to add 10 to that to see what he will be doing with the Death Necklace equipped. Or if he wants to keep it unequipped and count on some double attacks, that's another way of figuring it out. But regardless, it's going to need one more level. That level will come at 12,000 experience points, so 6 more golems and 1 slime, if my math is right there. And let's see how he goes about this grind. Looks like he's going to stay in Charlotte Castle as long as possible. And Retro Omega X also fighting a golem. On his screen, it looks like the golem has gotten less sun than on AngryLarry's side, but it is a golem. And he is being put to sleep. Oh, he managed to land a stop spell on the golem. So the golem, once in a while, is casting sleep. He's trying to heal his way out of it. He does not yet have the heal more spell. So he is healing with the regular heal when golem does physical attacks. And he's just hoping that it casts sleep. And when it casts sleep, he is attacking. And this is a very good tactical battle by Retro Omega X to get through this golem. Great job using everything he has at his disposal, including the lack of hit points, to go after this golem. And he gets him. Great fight there. Retro Omega X gets through and is on his way to rescue the princess. Nice job. And thankfully he has a key, so he's able to rescue her. He has the outside spell and the return spell, so he doesn't have to go back through that golem again. And he can take her right back to the castle to acquire an item called Gwaelin's Love. What is happening? I believe he has the return spell, doesn't he? At the very least, he does have a set of wings. I'm curious about this here. He's running through the cave. He could get sniped by something, but... And if you do die while carrying the princess, she goes back into that jail. So you do want to be careful when you're running around with her in your arms. Maybe he wants to take care of some other errands. Maybe does he not have the return spell? I'm not totally sure here. But anyway, he has the princess in his arms, and he's heading towards Tantegel Castle. Yeah, chat noting that he may not be totally sure that you can fly home with her in your arms, so he doesn't want to have to deal with that golem all over again if for some reason, like, she drops back into jail when you return home or something. Oh, there he goes. He's gonna give it a shot now. Nope, takes a quick return trip home. So he is going to acquire an item called Gwaelin's Love, which will allow him to figure out where exactly he is on the overworld so that he can match that up with the coordinates that was given by the old man in the town of Cantlin, and he will be able to zero in on the overworld search item, which in this case is the fairy flute. And he may not actually know that unless he has the token, correct? Maybe we just didn't mark it off. I think he finally did fight that blue dragon in Hawksness. So,
yes, I believe you're correct.
So he does know that he's doing all this for the fairy flute. Okay. Very good. This brings up another interesting difference between various runners in situations like this, where AngryLarry managed to just count his way to the coordinates, never having to rescue the princess, and Retro Omega X, on the other hand, is going to rely on the princess to direct him that way, and so it takes sometimes, and certainly true in this case, quite a bit of extra time to go through the trouble of rescuing the princess. And so if someone is able to count out the coordinates the way AngryLarry did, that can sometimes be a small advantage. But regardless, he's zeroing in on it. It's right in this region. So he's going to use this item to eventually find the fairy flute. And we have level 17 for AngryLarry. Let's see what's going on. A very small amount of MP. And he has 6 more power, I believe, puts him up to 130. That would give him 140 with the Death Necklace now. Now we're getting somewhere. With 140 attack power, in theory, if you could get all the way down there, you would like to be able to have about 72 MP to go with the 140 attack power. He has 78 MP, so this is a borderline situation. If he had to burn even one heal more on the way down, to a red dragon fight or something like that, or if he's unable to get through the Dragon Lord 1 fight for any reason. Remember, once he uses the Death Necklace, he'll be down to about 97 or 98 hit points. So if for some reason he's unable to get through the Dragon Lord 1 fight and he loses an attack, that could be a problem for the Dragon Lord 2 fight. So this is a very borderline level. So far, it looks like he's decided that it's not enough, which it's really close. It's really close. And if you don't use the Death Necklace, you're looking at using 130. With 130 attack power, you would want, in theory, about 104 MP. And if you don't have that, then you got to make up the difference with double attacks, which probably you're not going to get enough double attacks. Now, are we confident that they both actually are holding the death necklace? And AngryLarry didn't like sell it or something like that. There it is. I see it in his inventory. So he has it. And if he remembers that he can use it, that will come in, that'll factor in. If he doesn't remember that he can use it, the numbers look less good, and that would explain why he's grinding. Because at 130 attack power and only 78 MP, the numbers just don't look like they're good enough. So we'll have to watch and see if he is indeed going all the way to 15. At 15, or at 18 rather, did somebody predict that this was going to level 18 a while back, like an hour ago? I can't recall. I don't know.
One thing that I sometimes do in this situation where I've got a really borderline one is I take my chances that I can make the dive and be kind of selective with my fights. And then if for some reason I do have to heal on the way, then I just use that as a grinding opportunity. Again, potentially even going down to the mini boss.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea too, since he's doing his grinding in Charlock anyways. It's not like he's like giving up a grinding spot by coming into Charlock. So if he's gonna come in here anyway, might as well start just making your way down, I guess. It's slightly faster to hurt more some of these enemies, I guess, as far as like grinding goes, but he's defense breaking so many enemies. I kind of like your plan here. Unfortunately, one of the problems is that when MP is the stat that's really lacking, you don't get the benefit of MP unless you go back to an inn. But of course, if you just get some more power on your level up, that sort of negates the lack of MP in some ways as well. So, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like that plan, especially right now he's halfway to the level. If he wanted to grind his way down, he would certainly easily get it along the way. 14,250, I believe, they need to get to for level 18. So, yeah, it's just like a handful of fights against endgame enemies at this point. But so far, it looks like he's just going to get it here on the top floor. So we'll watch and see what happens when he gets level 18. And meanwhile, what is happening with Retro Omega X? Has he found the mountain cave yet? Does he have the stones? He seems to be hunting around for it.
I'm wondering if he missed it on the second continent, so now he's trying to re-explore the first continent to see if he missed something there.
I'm just noticing in chat too, they're saying that they think that Retro Omega X may have actually sold his death necklace because they were short on money early on. And so if he opens his item menu for any reason, I'm going to want to just take a quick look and see if he actually is still holding the death necklace. So that really could come into play here. Especially on level 17, he's going to have more hit points to work with. Not sure if that would make that much of a difference when using the death necklace, but I don't know. 17 is definitely an option, but only with the death necklace. If he doesn't have it, then he won't have that option.
So Retro Omega X is going back into the swamp cave. So I'm wondering if he's going to try to grind or if he's heading to explore the second continent again.
Yeah, if for some reason he still hasn't found the mountain cave, that is one of the more frustrating things that can happen to you when you're playing this Dragon Warrior Randomizer. You just are hunting around for the one last location that's on the map, and you just can't find it. can be infuriating. It's just like you know you just can't finish the seed without finding it, and you just start running around the map. And I don't know if that's what's happening to him now. He just keeps going back and forth from continent to continent, just wondering where it is. I'm hoping we didn't both just miss him going in there and getting the stones, because all this conversation would be for nothing if that's the case. But he's going back over to the second continent. He's going to start walking around.
So we have a question in chat that is just asking, what's the story with this seed? The story is that the seed started with a bunch of low enemies having some nasty stuff, like the Ghost having Dragon Lord 2 Breath, Drakey having Baby Breath, and no hit points. I want to say we were at something like 30-something at level 7 or 8. And then also very little chance for gold. And so it just took a really long time for them to even be capable of getting to a town to do anything, because they kept getting ambushed by nasty monsters with nasty attacks, and so they kept having to grind on low-level monsters. And then from there, it's also been a map that's been frustrating in a lot of ways, and there's been nothing that's been a good grind. So they're having to take their chances with very suboptimal things here. The Blue Dragon is the grind spot in Hawksness, and they have Healmore. The Golem, as you can see on Retro Mega X's screen, has Sleep. It's just they're on levels. AngryLarry's on level 17, still has not got the stats to take on the Dragon Lord. It's just been a brutal grinding seed.
Yeah, I didn't catch if you mentioned it, but they had very low HP for a long time. It just made it hard to explore the map. It just when you have such low HP that you're getting one shot by medium enemies, it just makes it so difficult. And Retro Omega X is just having a terrible time exploring the second continent. Just keeps getting sent home. And if he can, I guess he's not that close to it, but if he can get the next level, he will learn Healmore to make it a lot easier. But not if you're getting put to
also his
sleep by the
51
goal.
hit point gain.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That's when you get the 51 hit points as well. So, oh my goodness, it just I can feel the frustration through the screen. He's just he just can't explore that second continent, and he just can't find the mountain cave. So, and almost as equally frustrating as AngryLarry's attempts at acquiring experience points. It's just been a slog of a grind here. Continuing to face off with these golems and just It's gonna go for another one here, and he's actually very close to level 18. One more golem kill would do it. So let's make sure we catch what sort of gains he's getting. I had predicted quite a long time ago that this might go to level 18. I'm not sure where I pulled that number from, but I'm feeling like level 18 is going to be the one. Let's see what happens when he kills this golem. The sleep wars continue. Oh man, you go to sleep. No, you go to sleep. And this flute just takes forever. You gotta listen to the flute music every time. My word, this is frustrating. But this enemy will give him the level if he can win.
"15 power, 15 hit points." I feel like that might be sufficient.
Yep. If the other one was borderline, this is what they refer to as the magic level. This is a no decision, absolutely just he shouldn't even fight a single more enemy. He should just run for the rest of the game. He's going to go straight to the Dragon Lord as soon as he heals up. Make sure you get your herbs. And just never fight another enemy for the rest of the game until you get to the Dragon Lord. So, magic level 18. We got all sorts of statistics. Don't even necessarily need the death necklace. Sometimes when you're up into the high 140s for hit points, there's a whole other set of math that takes over where you're going to just get all sorts of extra attacks because you can never heal. Your heal mores don't get cut off in a sense. You're going all the way up to the max for heal mores. You're getting all sorts of attacks. If you do go ahead and put on the death necklace, you're looking at 155 attack power, which is like, I don't even have that on my chart. You need a very small amount of MP to compensate for 155 attack power. It's like he has plenty of resources. He could heal himself several times here and still be okay. And meanwhile, he has such high agility that he should be able to even run from red dragons fairly consistently. This might be the highest hit point total I've seen from a strength agility build before fighting the Dragon Lord. That's this, and we started off for the entire seed with basically no hit points for like 10 levels. So who would have thought that would have been the most outrageous stat at the end of the game? It's so weird how that happens sometimes. But there you go. That's Randomizer.
In a way, it's sometimes almost fun when you have seeds like this where you have a stat that you need to get to a level that it's so far away, because you know after all these levels where you're getting 1 and 2 that you're going to get a level where you're going to get some insane number, and those are always fun to see. Like our 51 hit points in this one.
Yeah, that was, you kind of knew that was coming. It was just a matter of time. That was fun. And it's like such like a, when you see it, when you're actually in the race, it's like, you know, a big boost. You're like, yes, there it is, finally. You know, and same is true, probably a sigh of relief when he saw that last level up. It's like, oh, surely this is it, no matter what. You know, it's like not even a decision, just sigh of relief. Let's go finish the game. And Retro Omega X has gone down this little area, and I think he has found it. It was down in a little, I don't know, this little side island thing down in the forest. So he's found the mountain cave. There's 5 chests here. He knows the Stones of Sunlight has to be in here. And I think, yeah, he still isn't yet at level 15. So he's still in some danger of dying on the way here, but let's see if we can get these 5 chests, and in particular, if you can get those stones, you can move on with the rest of the seed here. And AngryLarry has made quick work of Charlotte Castle, already on the bottom floor and approaching the mini-boss. Not sure we know what this mini-boss is yet, do we? Guess we're about to find out.
We do not.
Alright, we have the good old blue dragon with the hurt spell. About the best thing you could ask for right now. So he's dispatched the blue dragon, wasting no time. And he is not going to equip the death necklace. He's got more than enough stats, he's just going for it. Here we go. $22 damage right off the bat, and he's probably going to get a triple attack. So this is going to be just a slaughter. As long as he doesn't miss key here, it's just going to take his time. This battle is going to be over before you know it. And there's the Stones of Sunlight for Retro Omega X. He is in endgame mode now. right, he's probably one hit away. He was thinking about just attacking there, I think, but decided to play it safe, heal up. And thou hast done well, defeating the Dragon Lord. Get your GGs out for AngryLarry, sub 2.5 hours. He's going to return home, get the accolades from the king, and he's going to become the winner of this round 1 contest, 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. And we're going to get a final time here. 2 hours, 25 minutes, 22 seconds. Congratulations to AngryLarry on a well-fought, well-run, challenging seed and a nicely earned victory. Congratulations. Retro Omega X now, he has everything he needs. He's got the rainbow drop. He's healing up, and he's going to have some grinding to do. He may not realize it. We know he needs, more than just this level, but see how. I guess he's going to continue on, try and finish out the seed. Find some wings just in case. Selling the wings. Okay. Just gonna buy some radishes. I'm hungry as well. I don't blame you for buying some radishes. Can't wait to go get a snack. And he's getting the herbs. It's always good to have a full stock of herbs when you go into Charlotte Castle. It's useful to use some herbs during your dive down instead of using healing magic. And it can be useful in the Dragon Lord 1 battle as well. And who do we have here in the Discord? Is this AngryLarry? Can you hear me? Push to talk, perhaps?
No, it was a volume thing. Sorry about that.
All right. Congratulations on a very challenging seed.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, I finished it, and I couldn't even tell you how to play it better the second time around. I don't know. You guys would have to fill me in here from your point of view.
What do you think, Tilo Teal? I mean, the challenges were pretty clear. I saw that you just had no hit points for like several levels. It just made it hard to even fight, a medium level enemy because you could just get one shot by the things that, you might otherwise be able to fight. Yeah, having like 25 hit points on level 8 or whatever, it was just like, oh my gosh, that's got to be frustrating. So it's more like, you want to start exploring the map, but you sort of can't. And there wasn't really any early game enemies to grind on, so it was like just slow going. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how'd you feel about it? Would you say that was the most challenging aspect, was the low hit points in the beginning?
Non-chaos flags, probably. It was dicey because of the low HP. I kind of managed, but I wasn't getting like crucial spells to really just start blasting the game open. And then by the time I got Hurt More, I don't really even know if I really efficiently used Hurt More. Because there was that time I had 69 HP, 69 MP at level 12, level 13, level 11, somewhere around there. Still no Heal More. I'm sorry, I meant Hurt More if I said that. Still no Heal More, and, I don't know where to grind. The blue dragon looked tempting, tempting in Hawksness, but then it started busting out Heal More after a few fights, and then red dragons and third floor of Charlock looked to be the perfect place to grind, but the walk down there was just annoying.
Yeah, so that was the other issue. It seemed like it was just you knew you probably had several levels to go, and you just couldn't really decide on a grind spot. So yeah, I was interested in your decision. You ended up actually going out of your way to get the flute so that you could start fighting those golems. It's just like, that's kind of a rare thing to want to do. And just, yeah, you just it seemed like you both just couldn't get an endgame grind going. It was very challenging.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the golem as the trap tile enemy in Swamp Cave, like I just Game Boy golem shopping. That's when I went on my. I debated. I went back and forth, and then I was just like, you know what? Let's look at the coordinates because Cantlin's right there, and then the coordinates put the flute right there, and I'm just like, all right, we'll go for it. And I can't win a 50-50 when it comes to waking up when the golem sleeps me. So that grind went, to heck. But then I remembered golems were in Sharlock first floor, along with the Axe Knights. And as soon as I went, what I get? Like 3 Axe Knights during that final grind, where like the first time I was in there, I got several in a row. It was truly disgusting.
Yeah, the one saving grace is it seemed like you were defense breaking all those enemies real early. So if you wanted, I guess you could just like use your sword against the Star Wyvern or the Axe Knight, or you had some options there. Or at least a lot of times you weren't taking a lot of damage from things like Axe Knights. You were so heavily equipped. You did a nice job setting up that gold grind fairly early. That was one of the differences where Retro Omega X never really went back into the grave to set up the gold grind. So he played a lot longer through the seed with almost no defensive equipment, and it started to separate because you get the ability to repel more monsters, you can defense break more monsters, you're taking less damage. It just started to make your survivability a lot more, yeah, you just weren't dying as much. Although you guys both died quite a bit in this seed. It was a lot of dying going on. Quite the god counter.
My favorite death was just holding left in the swamp while playing trivia and chatting, and all of a sudden I hear the death animation sound, and I just died in the swamp. Never even gave a concern to my HP, just walked right through it and died. It was great.
I did see that. You were one step away from getting to the other side too, so it's one of those things. It happens. There was quite a large swamp that you sort of had to walk through to get to the rest of the map. So in the beginning, when you guys had like 25 hit points, it was like, oh my god, I don't know, they got to go walk through this swamp every time. Yeah, it was a lot of trolly things like that going on. I missed how Retro Omega X just died, but yeah, he just fell further and further behind. It was actually a fairly close race, all the way kind of into the middle of the game. I don't know, level 8, 9, 10, that realm. And you did a better job finding the stuff. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
It was basically the gold grind that separated you. Y'all are neck and neck, and then when you decided to do the gold grind and got the gear, which allowed you to survive the Blue Dragon on Hawksness, it just kind of blew wide open.
Yeah, AngryLarry just did a better job of getting the essential stuff too. He went, and there was a great battle that you fought with the Blue Dragon pretty early on. Very tactical. You knew that he had that hurt spell. So, or was it the hurt spell? Yeah. So anytime he physically attacked you, you cast heal. Just waiting for an opening when he cast the hurt spell. It was a very nicely tactical battle there. And Retro Omega X waited a really long time before taking on the Blue Dragon because he didn't really have the gear, and so he didn't get the information for quite a while that the token was there. It just he couldn't find the mountain cave for like a really long time. So yeah, so you were like in grind mode where he was still kind of like running around trying to find things, unfortunately for him. Because before that, the experience lead was pretty close. But you did a nice job on the exploration and just rounded everything up a lot easier.
It was an interesting overworld because a lot of the times you'll get segmented all over the place. You'll go east and it'll go in 3 different paths. This one was like nice big chunks of land that either went nowhere quick or it opened up to like everything was spread out, but everything was like in its place. It almost felt like it was in its place. It felt like a real overworld where just stuff was. You had to go through the swamp cave to get to other stuff, and it just felt like a nice overworld instead of just losing a branch, losing a path, where you're missing one town and the town is like coal and it has the armor and you don't know how to get to it. It was the one thing this seed had that was good and perfect was like the overworld. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's always nice when that aspect of it's not as annoying. So So I'm glad that was a good part about the seed. There were only a few nice things about the seed, I suppose, but
And I mean, it was challenging. I would really like to see how throw this one in the Discord channel for Seed of Torture or Delight, and just see how other people play it and see what some good times are. Because
one thing that came up in the middle of the game, and it seemed to happen to both of you, is that you did get keys at some point in whatever way. I think you guys found a key somewhere or something. And you didn't actually go and recheck the back door of Garanham for kind of a long time, and you didn't go and check for the coordinates for a long time either. Both of those towns were kind of like on the way to the rest of the map. Just for a while, I was wondering if you guys were going to forget that, like the swamp cave was probably in the basement of Garanham, because you were kind of like looking around for the whole first continent. It seemed like you were trying to find the mountain cave, for example. And it was just like, well, you're probably going to have to go into Garanham to get to the rest of the map. So that seemed to hold you guys up for a little while.
You're 100% right. I flaked on Garanham, and like I was tunnel. As soon as I got that key, I was just dead focused on, the treasury in the starting castle and gold grind. Go redip Garen's grave and gold grind. Just totally flaked on Garanham. And then even when I did do that, Cantland was never even a thought in my mind until I was like in another section. And I believe that was through the swamp cave. I was just like, oh man, I never got the coordinates. What if the coordinates were over here, And that leads me to the armor, because at that time I didn't know the fairy flute was the overworld item or what was in coal. But then I found coal, and I was like, all right, well, that paid off. If one thing went right, that went right. And then, it's just all about, after that, just all about being able to beat Dragon Lord. I don't think I could have done it one level sooner. I think I arrived at the right level, but I don't know. I can make mistakes like that. I don't really know the formulas too well. Just generics.
Yeah, level 17 on your end, you were a strength agility build. It seemed really borderline. I mean, you were carrying around the death necklace. So, if you were doing that math, I'm not sure if you were considering that, but it seemed
I was.
really
I was
borderline.
I was at like borderline HP for it as well. I mean, I didn't have the heal more casts, and I didn't think that the extra strength there would do the work. But then one more level later, I realized, didn't matter because I was just smashing them.
Yeah, it looked like you may have had the pretty much the exact stats that you needed, except you had the information too that there are red dragons, I think, on every tier in there with Dragon Lord Breath. I mean, if you had to even burn one heal more on the way down, you might as well abort the dive. So it was sort of like, I can understand even from that perspective going to 18. You would have had to have like a perfect dive, and then even then it might not have worked out. So yeah, it was pretty borderline in 17 from my perspective. He went with the strength HP build. Not sure if that would have made any difference really, because once you use the death necklace, you're almost back down, to the same point anyways. So, so that was interesting that you didn't even try it. You just went one more level, even though you knew you were like over 2 hours into the seed. So that was some good patience.
We had some good trivia provided by the legend. Bentglass Tube was doing some TV trivia in my chat, and the questions were good. So I just wanted to go one more level of grind and answer a few questions, and then go to finish the game. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Well, Retro Omega X is attempting a Dragon Lord battle on level 15 right now. So.
All right, I'll bow out. Thanks for the commentary, restream, and all that, and good luck to Retro Omega.
All right, thanks, AngryLarry, and congratulations.
Thank you.
He is now 1-0 in this 5-round Swiss portion of our tournament. This is the first round, and being 1-0 makes it that much easier to advance to the brackets, where if you end the Swiss rounds with a winning record, you're guaranteed to move on to the brackets. And he needs just 2 more victories out of his next 4 rounds in order to ensure that. Now he, in his next round, is going to, or almost guaranteed to, face another 1-0 opponent. So as you win, your matches get harder. As you lose, your matches, in theory, get a little easier. That's one of the ways that the Swiss system seems to iron everything out over the course of 5 rounds. And he's put himself in a position here to do some damage in this tournament. And Retro Omega X, meanwhile, is still battling through here. He showed that he's doing quite well with the Dragon Warrior Randomizer. I hadn't really seen him run a race before, and he seemed like he played quite well. It's just this was a pretty challenging seed. He was not doing enough damage, clearly, on level 15 to make that fight viable. He probably just saw that AngryLarry had already finished, so he wanted to give it a shot. Let's see what his decision is here.
He has forfeited.
All right, so that is going to be the end of our race. Retro Omega X has forfeited this one. I don't blame him. It's almost 3 hours into the race here, and so it was good that he gave it one effort against the Dragon Lord. So good game for Retro Omega X. Appreciate that. Not sure. Looks like we may no longer have time for any more interviews, so we'll catch up with him another time. I believe that we are going to be sending all of us over to Randomania 3 very shortly for some additional action. So thanks everyone for checking out the stream and the race tonight. We had a good one, and stay tuned all month for a lot more Dragon Warrior Randomizer. For myself, up to NG, and Tilo, if you have any more thoughts. But yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.